Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Riverview Farm here in Farming Simulator 22 with me, Siwadi. It is a very late afternoon for me, early evening, 6:45 in the evening as I'm recording this. I've had an absolute nightmare of a day, having to do errands and jobs for people, which has put me very behind my daily recording schedule. So I'm hoping to get an episode recorded now this evening, and following on from the last video, it's going to be setting up a bit of an auto drive route just so this guy can actually help me with the unloading whilst I'm running about doing the harvesting of this lovely grey oat contract that we received at the end of the last video. Now, what I obviously need to do at some point, we're going to have to record a way in and then a way out. And what we will do, ladies and gentlemen, is I'll show you a little bit of how I set up record points for auto drive. Now, as I can see, I can already see a slight issue in that I have updated auto drive recently, and as a result all my settings have changed. Oh, that's terrible. Automatic pairing, no. Automatic tip side, no. GUI scale, let's make that 90, that's a little bit bigger and easier for people to see. So next path, no. I always have it above tractors. I do, because it's just better, it's easier to see the route above the tractor. Yeah, that all looks good. That all looks good, apart from the fact I like beacon lights to be on. Right, that looks a little bit better, ladies and gents. Right, so I've got auto drive activated. I've got it in edit mode, so the dots are nice and visible. And basically I want to start recording a route from this field that we can come back to. Now this is field 32. So first things first, I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to hit right click on record. Now this will create a very low priority two-way road. Now if I put field 32 as the marker for that, and I drive my little tractor forward, you can see I'm doing a very low priority two-way road. And I'm going to stop it right there, because that's the end of the property. Now what we need to do, ladies and gents, is connect this up with a couple of little, if we like, routes that auto drive can take. This guy's going to come in. We want him to join that one. There we go. So field 32 is now set up. So I can turn off edit mode for a minute because it's going to get a little bit crazy. What we need to establish is where we were going to. Now I believe contract is up here, and I believe it's going to be that selling point there. Now we're all the way obviously down here. So we would initially take this route here, I think. By the way, yes, it is a UK road, so we are driving on the left, the correct side. We've had a few discussions about this just recently. in multiplayer with players about what is the correct side of the road to drive on, correct side of the car, truck, vehicle, whatever to drive on, and ultimately it is the left, ladies and gents. Anyone who thinks otherwise is wrong. So let's head up the field, and we've got to record I'll tell you what, with this big trailer, would be quite awkward. I'm not the bestest and most accuratest drivers of the world. At least we've got a point. We've got field 32, ladies and gents, set up as a point. So at least we can send vehicles to that field in the future. Yeah, we need to have this set up fairly quickly. Because I need to get back to the harvesting, because it's going to get dark, ladies and gents, early, because it's January. And like I say, I turned on the seasonal, transitional textures stuff. So yeah, the map does go through its winter, spring, summer, autumn transition, even though we're not actually playing with seasons mode turned on at the present. Do like that. And there's the shop, which looks so much better now it's not cluttered up with all my equipment, which is obviously now back at my own farm. And ultimately, again, so I'm going to put edit mode back on now. And again, I'm doing this with a controller. I've got some of the Autodrive most used features programmed into the controller, programmed mapped to the controller. So that's why sometimes when people are asking me during multiplayer when I'm live streaming, how do I do this? How do I do this? Or how do I do that? I don't actually know instantly off the top of my head what the buttons are. And the reason for that is because I'm playing with a controller, ladies and gents. I don't play with such a primitive thing as mouse and keyboard. You know, who plays with a mouse? Who plays a game like this with a mouse and keyboard? You'd have to be an absolute sadist. We're going that way. That's the last road that can go into there. And then click that dot. Go to there. I'm a little bit confused as to why it's double line. Here. Okay, and they're now going that way. But it doesn't go through there. Right, this is where we can do it then, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we need to do a bit more recording. So again, I'm going to do left shift. Right click. Low priority. I need to have my... And then we drive the trailer through, and what you have to remember, of course, is you need to reach a point where you're going to reach the trigger point. So that is probably going to be it. So this is what? What's the official name of this? Like, Stu's Farm Shop. Right, okay, let's name that. tip point, very clear. I like to distinguish that between. Let's do fields. Do I not have fields enabled? Do I not have use folders enabled? I thought I did. Where is it? In one of these options. Use folders. Yeah, please. Fields. Right, let's move that into fields, that into fields, that into fields, that into fields. Let's do sell points. And then we can drag Stu's Farm Shop into sell points. I'll leave the store in the default category, because I think that's better. And field 32. Right. But we're not finished yet, ladies and gents. We now need to get out of here. I'm also a little bit concerned as to why there's a tip point there. What that's for. Right, stop there. Because this is going to be a problem. We might have to... Yeah, that's going to make that do jiggly jigglies. What we might need to do, if we can move the camera into a position where we can actually see a bit, is now press the control button and left click, and that, ladies and gents, creates us a point. Ladies and gents, that we can use. Because what we want to do, we want to turn back onto that road if we can. I don't think he's going to actually be able to do this, because that trailer is massive. I don't think he can do that. Right. What we need to do now then is remove all these points, because he can't actually make that turn. Right. Problems. Right, first of all, let me get rid of this. No, wrong. I need to jackknife it a bit. Trying to muscle this trailer around and not having it. Let's try and do it a different way. I don't know if... Well, you know what? You know what? Let's try this. Let's go back in here. Need to be able to see, need to be able to move the camera. That's the only problem with the controller. It does get a little bit of a faff when you're doing stuff, because you have to try and remember to press all the buttons for various different things. Right, that would actually bring me back to here. Hmm. Like so. Now, if he can drive that route, because I drove that route, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do it. Right. The thing we want to check is this the right place? Looks like it, because I'm not getting paid, so I can ignore that tip point over yonder. And you can come back round this way. Right, I think then the only logical way he can actually do this, could be wrong, is he's going to have to go that way. Get back out. Given the size of this massive trailer. And then when we come round this way, right, he should now, ladies and gents, head back to field 32. What the problem is? Ground clearance? It's ground clearance a lot of the time. If you have collisions on. So I make it 2 meters. Because he seems to get, when he comes down some of the ramps, he's like, oh, hang on a minute. There's ground in front of me. Now you see, what you've done wrong there, dude, is you took that corner way too aggressively. So I think that point's obviously got to move out. That point's got to move out a bit more. That point needs to... Very hard to do this on these such narrow streets. I invariably have a lot of respect for the people that take up an inordinate amount of time. And it looks like he can get around that corner now. And now he can get back to the field. That's wonderful news, ladies and gents. Right. That means we can put the harvester onto field 32. Okay. And when the driver gets back to field 32, we'll be able to put him into harvest mode, which means he'll then be able to self-serve, provide self-service, unloaders on command, he'll then be able to, when he gets full, he'll be able to go and empty. And that means I can carry on with the harvesting and not have to worry too much. That's one sell point done. And one field done in today's video. And that's kind of how I do it. Use low priority roads. Use the yellow roads. Don't just use green lines everywhere. Because the way Autodrive is set up, Autodrive will always try to drive on green roads. Use your green roads for your main highways, okay? Don't use the green roads for your farms. Don't use them for sell points, okay? Obviously, blue roads, the two-way roads, you can use on very narrow roads like this map has. So vehicles can move in both directions in one lane. But obviously then if you try running multiple vehicles at the same time, you can have head-to-head collisions. So blue lines are, you know, blue lines are something we used on Calmston because Calmston is quite a tight, tricky little map. And you need vehicles to be able to drive in two directions rather than doing two green roads very close together going in opposite directions. But generally for anything that's off the main roads, you want to be using the yellow, brown coloured roads that are low priority, and that way you keep your auto drive vehicles from taking shortcuts through your fields, through your farm when they don't need to be, and it keeps them on the high speed, high priority highway roads, you know, keeps them on the main roads as frequently as possible, which is what you want, because there's less things for them to run into and collide with on the main roads. Whereas obviously if they're taking shortcuts through your fields, taking shortcuts through your farms, around your farm, then they may obviously find problems where they run into objects or get blocked. You know, if you know, as we've seen in multiplayer, if somebody returns and parks a vehicle in just the wrong place at the farm, and all your traffic is routing and going through the farm to get to its different places of destination, it can completely block everything. Because if that piece of equipment is blocking the Autodrive route, the Autodrive driver is just going to sit there. He's not going to tell you he's blocked and can't get to where he wants to go. He'll just sit there, and he'll cost you money in the process. Right, what we need now then is to change this guy. And we need to put him onto the harvest setting. So have the harvester selected. Change your destination to the sell point. So it's going to be Stu's Farm Shop. It's field 32. And we switch him on. He is now waiting for call. So here is my harvester. And you'll notice my harvester no longer has any red text, because my harvester is now also set to field 32. So my harvester and the truck are actually now in communication with each other. So I can actually turn off auto drive at this point, and I can keep harvesting. And when I walk the next row, I should get fairly full. So as I turn round to come back down, that is when I will want to empty. Well, ladies and gents. And also, I'll grab another screenshot before I forget too much. So yeah, I think I'm only going to have time to record one episode of Farm Sim today. That means tomorrow, Tuesday, I need to get a lot done. I'm alright with Calmston. Calmston, we've got plenty of episodes recorded. I'm quite a bit in front with Calmston, but I do need to get some Riverview episodes done tomorrow. I'd like to get maybe 5. No, that's a tall ask, because that's like 5 hours of me playing the game in a row with no breaks. Something I usually only do when I'm streaming. But yeah, if I can get 5 episodes recorded tomorrow, I'll feel a bit happy. Today's been a bit, like I say, today's been a complete kind of throw it out the window day, because I've had so many errands to do today for other people that I haven't been able to do my own job, my own work. I might have to go downstairs and treat myself to another few lovely beers. These ones sadly have been drunk by somebody. I don't know who did that. Mr. Nobody, I imagine. But yeah, I might have to get myself a couple more out the fridge tonight, just to help me just chillax. Chillax. No? Stop. Oh, I found a way as well with the guidance steering mod. I found a way to be able to activate that in multiplayer, so that the lines are shown as soon as you jump into any vehicle with GPS fitted. You no longer have to turn it on every single time you join the server, and also to have it so it automatically defaults to dots all the time rather than lines, and that there are automatically a certain distance above them. I found a way to edit the mod to do that, to enable my default dots and line settings as the actual guidance steering mod's default and line settings. As a result, I feel I've got a much better guidance steering mod now for multiplayer. I'm not using it in single player though, that's the problem. so every time I play single player and switch it on, I'm like, why aren't the settings back? Right, I am 86% full. That means I need to be sending a call to the trailer to come and unload me. And I do that by piping out, which is the simplest and most easiest way of doing it. I also have a button on my Elgato Stream Deck in front of me, which is called Call to Unloader, which is a completely separate button, separate command, which I think overrides even the pipe. Very useful for forcing a guy to unload you. If for whatever reason he gets a bit confused, doesn't quite know what he's supposed to be doing, it's a bit lost in translation. It's also a good way in multiplayer of making sure that the trailer comes and unloads you first before it goes and unloads another player. Make sure I get priority serviced by making sure I hit the call to unload button rather than just relying on the pipe sending its signal. Right, Mr. Trailer Man, I am located just down here, so if you could just drive towards me and unload me. Obviously it's a little bit slow this first time because he's had to travel all the way from the entry point of the field all the way over here. I'm hoping after he unloads me, if I pipe back in, he will just sit here and he'll wait then here to be called, so he'll have less distance to travel to me in the future. But what I tend not to do, I tend not to drive around with the pipe out all the time, because that doesn't help anybody really, because he's not getting fuller any faster, he's just using more fuel. And plus, if, like I say, if you're playing in multiplayer, you're tying up a trailer that somebody else could need or want. So as soon as I've finished unloading, I will pipe in, and he's then free to be accosted by anybody else. As it is, I'm the only person here on this map, in this save, so he'll just sit there and he'll wait now until I call him again. So I will go on. I'll harvest a few more rows. Once I'm full again, I'll pipe out. He'll drive to me, unload me. Typically this next time I might actually pipe out a little bit early. I won't wait until I'm absolutely full. So what I'll do is I'll probably go up the next row, and then as soon as I come down the next row, I'll be piping out, and then he can follow me to the bottom of the field. And then typically where I try to leave the trailer is at the end of a row, because then it's a bit easier for him to come to me and unload me, although it's not really as good on this field because I'm not employing the spiral method. Which again, it's a weird system. Generally, fields that are long and narrow tend to work better with my Autodrive harvester technique, because I can leave him at the end of a row and then he hasn't got too far. Like, if I left him down here, I harvested like the opposite end of the field, came back down, got full. When I turn around just to go back up, I can call him. He just basically has to turn around the corner. And then when he gets to the opposite end of the field, I stop him there. And basically, I just move him from corner to corner around the field. That's how it works. I shift him diagonally. Saves him having to chase me all around the map. I mean, it doesn't matter so much in this instance if he was chasing me all over the map, because it's not my tractor, it's not my fuel. I'm not picking up the bill for it. But when I'm doing my own, obviously when I've got my own vehicles, I tend to be a little bit, how can I do this efficiently so the tractor isn't running the whole time and is running and not doing anything? Because obviously whilst it's running, it's incurring maintenance. Its maintenance is going down, its fuel is going down, and that's all stuff that gets expensive in farm sim. So, I mean, one of the tactics I've also employed in the past is actually leaving the tractor and trailer at a fixed point. So he kind of comes into the field, he'll stop at a point, and then from that point he loops back to the exit of the field. The reason for that is then I have like a grain cart, I have an auger wagon that's the go between me, the harvester, and the trailer, and that way it doesn't matter. Then you can have a little tractor and a little auger wagon just running backwards and forwards, and then the big tractor or the big truck and trailer that's delivering to your sell point, you leave that in one spot. It never moves. It literally drives to its spot, waits to get filled, and then as soon as it's full, it drives to the sell point. It doesn't venture onto the field. That's one aspect. I'm typing out again. I'm going to put my lights on because it's flipping dark. This contract may run through the evening. However, if snow starts to fall, that's going to stop me again, isn't it? Then I'm going to have to wait till 9 AM when it's daylight again. At this point, he's going to drive up to the top of the field where I called him, where I initially piped out. That's going to be his starting point. And then when he gets there, he's going to look to see where I am, and then he's going to drive to me and unload me. And hopefully he's a bit quicker at that. I'm almost going to get to the bottom of the field. So it's very handy, obviously, to have plenty of capacity spare when you call the harvester or the trailer. I think he's coming. Of course, it helps as well, and this is another thing, that you're using a tractor with enough horsepower and power that it can actually pull that trailer at the speed and can get up to maximum speed as quickly as it can, because that helps it obviously get across the fields and unload you a bit. I think that trailer is very massive. I think that tractor is a little bit underpowered given the size of the trailer, Therefore, I think he struggles a little bit to close the distance. Takes him a little bit longer to get up to speed. And he's always going to stop before... I hate it how they stop. Again, I don't think... I would have liked the Autodrive to just carry on a bit further. You know? Just so you can fully unload. Again, I think... And the worst part about that is, as you are harvesting... Like, if I was to turn around now and go along the bottom of the field, so the row effectively gets shorter, the next time I come down this row, he would stop sooner and back up. He would, even though I'm basically creating more space, more headland room, he doesn't drive into it. I find that a bit strange, and I don't know if anybody out there can explain why he does that. Because he's clearly got a lot of room he could drive forward and turn around in. There's no reason for him to stop before he gets to the end of the row and start reversing. Because that really doesn't help me unloading, because obviously then he reverses, my pipe is dangling out there, unable to empty. Doesn't help. It's raining. Yeah, started raining outside in the UK. It's not been a very nice day today weather-wise. It's been threatening rain on and off throughout the day. I don't know whether we've had any rain this afternoon, so I've not been anywhere where there's been windows. But it definitely looked like it when I was out doing errands earlier. And I can definitely hear it started raining now outside. Still 27 degrees though on my portable aircon, which I've had to set up this last weekend. So on Friday night I had to get the portable aircon unit out of storage and get that set up, because I think it's going to get hotter from here on out in the UK. The summer is definitely a thing. I might need to start using it in between recording episodes to bring the temperature down a bit in this little office, this little box room that I'm in. It's almost like Harry Potter's cupboard under the stairs, this. It's bad. Yeah, 27 degrees. I grab the remote behind me, switch it on, you guys can get an impression of how loud it sounds, can't you? And that's why I don't run with it on when I'm recording or streaming. Sometimes I run it when I'm streaming. I just don't think it, you know, it's at the end of the day. I don't think it matters too much in the stream if there's a bit of noise in the background. You can still chat over the top of it. And stuff, but obviously in videos when you're recording you don't want to be leaving any additional background noise. So at the moment it's on. I will listen to the video obviously in the editing, and you guys will hear the video in the editing when it's uploaded, and you'll be able to tell me that you don't like it. Don't have the aircon on when you're recording. Because obviously it's quite close to me, because again the room is so small, wedged in, there's nowhere else for me to put it, and it's a great big unit. It stands about waist high, and it's probably a person wide. It's quite fairly big. It does a great job of cooling. It really does throw nice cold air out like it is right now. Lovely cold air. But it is loud. Because it's, well, I guess it's probably a little bit more industrial use than home use. But when it came to buying a portable air conditioner, there's a few things you have to look at. And the one thing is heat transference. The BTUs, how much heat it can remove from an area, from a space. And generally speaking, if you're buying an aircon unit, you want one which removes the highest amount of heat from a space. And that way, if you're using it in a small area, it cools that area a heck of a lot faster and can keep that area a lot cooler. Where the mistake a lot of people make is they get an air conditioning unit that's too small. It can't extract enough heat from the space, and then they put it in a great big room and it can never cool it. It can never cool it. And the thing is, if it can't cool it, then it's running at its maximum capacity all the time because it's trying to reach its target temperature. Because again, an aircon runs on a thermostat, same as your central heating in the winter. The only difference is it's trying to lower the temperature to a point and then shut off, whereas your central heating in the winter tries to raise the temperature to a certain level and then cut off. And that's basically what it's doing. At the moment, I've got it set to try and lower the temperature in this room to 16 degrees. That's quite cold. Most people say, oh, that's a bit cold. You don't need it that cold. 21 or 22 would be sufficient. However, if I set it to 21 or 22, with all the PC equipment and that in front of me, working and on and switched on and running, it heats the room up very quickly again. And generally then what I find is if I have the temperature set too high, like at about 21 or 22, it's constantly cutting in and out because it cools it down, shuts off, but then it heats up very quickly and it has to cut back in again. Whereas at least once I get the room down to 16 and it cuts out, it takes a while for it to heat back up to the point where it cuts back in again. Once it gets to about 21, 22, it then cuts back in again and starts cooling. So I get that 5 degrees of temperature buffer where it kind of shuts down, just goes into like a light fan mode where it's just blowing the air around the room rather than actively trying to cool it. But yeah, summer's here, aircon's on. I just need more full beers. Send me more full beers, people. Please, send me beers. And I will enjoy it. Right, folks, I'm going to carry on with the harvest as it is getting dark and it's going to reach the point where it ain't going to be easy to see what's going on anymore. After a point. So, I will catch you in the next episode of the series, ladies and gents. So take care of yourselves, stay safe. Goodbye for now. Cheerio.